Hello.
Welcome to the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
This is episode 24. I'm Tracy.
I'm Hunter, the man with a voice that have split 1,000 eardrums.
I am Darren. Just Darren.
Oh, and I'm Lee. And I started already, right? We said we were going to do this one serious.
So, welcome everyone to a new show of what we believe is the longest running Universal Orlando podcast.
It is. I had a good look around, and I'll be honest, I couldn't find any that have been going as long as we have. And I know Stingray Travel tweeted me and said even he had a look on iTunes, and we surpassed way past everybody else.
Right.
So, well done, guys.
Good, good.
Definitely. Definitely, and thanks to all the listeners for that.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah, without them.
Yeah, and all the comments on our Facebook page as well. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here anymore. So make sure you keep on listening.
We've had loads of
Absolutely.
comments on our Facebook page, actually.
Yeah.
Like a lot
Oh,
more
yeah.
since we put out on the last one. We wanted to start getting a lot more interaction. There has been, so yeah, it all seems to be coming together very nicely.
It does. Now, we do have one more announcement, and that's to congratulate Hunter on being accepted on the Disney College Programme.
Judas, Judas.
I'll throw your coins back at you later. Well, thank you very much, guys. Actually, it's a really good year for me to actually be in there because so much stuff is opening. I'd be there from the summer until about next January, and so much stuff is going to be coming into the parks, well, specifically Disney in that time region. You got the Fantasyland opening, the Little Mermaid, all of that. So it's a good time to be there, actually. So thanks.
We think it's brilliant.
So you're not going to be there when we come over? That's a shame. Pause for loud noises.
Is the Main Street Parade going by right now?
Is it Mardi Gras?
I thought it was a drive-by shooting.
Needs more.
What is going on? Is it a bloody aeroplane?
I'm starring in the new Rambo film.
Nice.
Simple.
Anyway, enough about that other crap down the road.
Yeah. Right, it's time for the news. I've got the first one. Now, Islands of Adventures, the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man ride is closed temporarily in preparation for the new HD version, which is scheduled to be ready for theme park guests in March. Now, Tuesday the 7th of February was the last chance to experience the original ride that has been there since the park opened in 1999. The new version will have the original storyline, as it did before, but the new technology will add fresh details, even down to the threads in Spider-Man's costume. There will also be an appearance by a computer-generated Stan Lee, a Marvel Comics legend and co-creator of Spider-Man, and this fangirl thinks it's about bloody time.
Absolutely, and Hunter, you're not the only person I've heard so far say they're expecting him to be in that truck at the beginning.
You know, but I have a feeling Universal's like, that's where everyone thinks he's going to go, but that's not where we're going to put him. But keep in mind, the original Spider-Man had so many details in it hidden already. I can't wait to see what else they add in this new incarnation.
I mean, I posted a picture on our Facebook page the other day that they've walled it all off, and they've actually took the big Spider-Man down off the front of the building as well.
Yep. Has anyone noticed that the new Spider-Man looks... it looks like they're going for a... Well, of course, it's a more realistic look, but it also reminds me of seeing the new film trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man, kind of that similar color scheme.
He said that the other day, didn't he? Yeah. And it's quite interesting. I mean, if you hang on after the news, you'll find out a lot more about the whole Marvel thing in Universal and Disney. It's quite interesting.
Oh, as well, the Doc Ock, he totally looks like Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2, which was when Tobey Maguire was playing Peter Parker / Spider-Man.
Alfred Molina. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm excited. That ride.
Oh, yeah.
But now is not the time to go to Universal, huh? You got the Jaws, all the Amity area closed down. You've got...
It's the most depressing
shut down. Yeah.
It's just a giant maze. It looks like a Halloween Horror Nights scare zone.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not good, but, you know, it's
progress.
It has to be. You can't have one without the other, so...
Gotta keep moving.
Definitely. And
at least Spider-Man's going to have a temporary refurbishment. Like, it won't take long whatsoever.
March.
Right.
They're talking, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually just saw that they moved all the the prize games from that were in Amity over slightly off to the side. So those are open again. So
Midway still.
I've seen pictures of Jaws, and they've pretty much leveled it.
Yep.
Yeah, that photo series I posted up on Twitter and also on Facebook. I think you recopied it over to the main page. Yeah, that was a pretty impactful series. It's kind of depressing seeing that.
Interesting, considering how much work they're doing on it so far, yet they still haven't made any sort of announcement of what's going in there.
I fully expect we'll probably hear something at least by the end of the year.
Darren's bucking the trend, though, aren't you, Darren? Because you don't believe it's going to be Harry Potter.
No, well, I'm going back and forth with it. I don't think it's going to be. I have a hard time thinking that it's going to be connected together. That's the part that I'm like just trying to wrap around in my head. How are they going to do the ticketing system with that?
Yeah,
so
that was the big thing we spoke about before. It's interesting.
Well,
the two
to have.
Yeah, unless the two park bouncer ticket is just like the main ticket now, and they get rid of the one park 1 day pass.
Possibly.
So yeah, we don't know. Well, time will tell. Yeah.
Well, indeed.
Okay, I'll go on to the next one here. We got Premier and Preferred Annual Pass holders enjoy special Mardi Gras benefits.
I'm going to jump in for the benefit of all Americans. That word is premier, not premier.
It's Premier.
It's premier.
Trust me, there's more of them than us.
It's a French word, it's premier. Premier, you've got me saying it now.
We want to go, we want to go.
Yeah.
Shut up.
You have U's in your color. Yeah. Silence.
And favourite. That is correct.
Go on, Darren, sorry.
On all Mardi Gras events nights, Premier and Preferred Annual Pass holders enjoy 10% off all Mardi Gras food items, including the funnel cake trailer. What is that?
It's pretty much you devour a trailer.
Oh, no, hang on. Is the funnel... Right, it's the trailer that sells funnel cakes. It's not a funnel cake trailer.
I was wondering if it's a funnel cake trailer
park? Food tents, including the funnel cake trailer. I get it.
Excluding alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, but I didn't realise food
that
isn't...
sounds interesting.
Alcohol's not a food. That's what that says. 10% off Mardi Gras food tents, including the funnel cake trailer, excludes alcohol. Well, food usually does exclude alcohol.
Sherry trifle, doesn't it?
Well, this is true. Yeah, fair enough. Whatever. I'll shut up.
You also get a special parade viewing in the Battery Park area.
Where's Battery
A special
Park?
feed offer. What, the Battery Park area? That's that circular park, right? The hedge maze kind of.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
I don't even know if it was there last time you guys were here.
Where is it?
Is that what you mean?
It's near the
It's right
stage.
across from the Mummy, right?
Yeah.
What, Central Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that the same one?
Well,
in
the
the
one
same?
with the big statue in the middle of it. It's got like a tower thing with a bird or something on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find out
I
now.
know what it is.
Towards the New York section.
Yeah, I know.
A nice, lovely garden that also doubles as a smoking area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's really nice place to have some lunch. Pass holders also receive an exclusive set of annual pass holder Mardi Gras beads when they spend $30 on theme park merchandise at USF and or IOA between February 11th and April 14th. Pass holders must redeem receipts only at the Universal Studios store in Universal Studios Florida or at the Trading Company in Islands of Adventure. Offer available while supplies last.
Right.
And apparently beads must be purchased separately for $10.95 plus tax.
How much?
Yeah. So anyone who's got a season pass, annual pass, whatever you want to call them. It's not bad. It's good to see you get benefits, though.
All right. So speaking of Mardi Gras, it began last weekend, the 11th, with the B-52s, and will continue tomorrow. Saturday the 18th, with Kelly Clarkson playing. Then on Sunday, Boys to Men will be in attendance. The following weekend will be Diana Ross. On Saturday, the 25th. Remember, Mardi Gras is part of your General's Universal Studios admission.
So the Orlando Sentinel recently came out with their annual Foodie Award winners. And the theme park and tourist corridor restaurants garnered plaudits from both Sentinel readers. From both Sentinel readers? We've only got two. Oh no, I'll read it, right. I'll read it again. The Orlando Sentinel recently came out with their annual Foodie Award winners, and theme park tourist corridor restaurants garnered plaudits from both Sentinel readers who voted for their favourites in a variety of categories, but also Sentinel food editor Heather McPherson, who chimed in with her top picks. You see, I managed to hold it together while everyone else is creased up around me. The theme park category, which is limited to restaurants within the turnstiles, had readers handing the honour over to Universal Orlando's Mythos restaurant, located in Islands of Adventure.
No surprise there, really.
I don't know, I think with everything that's coming in at Epcot lately, I'm surprised, because apparently Mythos is hardly ever open. Hunter, when you were over there the other day, was Mythos open?
Sure was. I've never been in the parks when Mythos isn't open.
I've heard a lot of the times it's not, but this is only the second year theme park restaurants have been broken out as their own category in the 14 years of Foodie Awards, and Mythos has taken the Reader crown both years. Runner-up from the readers this year was Le Cellier at the Canada Pavilion at Disney's Epcot. Anybody eating at Le Cellier?
Yeah.
No, but it's one of my on to-do list.
Right. We ate last time we were there, and it was good, but I don't think it was.
All I remember is cheddar cheese.
Cheddar soup?
The cheddar cheese soup is amazing.
No,
Yeah.
I was 10 years old last time I was at Epcot, so I think I had the corn dogs.
What?
Chicken strips.
Yeah, I was 10. I really want to go back.
You need to get back at Epcot, especially after Test Track gets its refurbishment.
We were...
Yeah.
Shut up, hang on, this is
last
not
time
a
I was
Disney
there, they talked
podcast.
about it.
Guess who gets to see their refurbishment? I do.
I'll talk to you later. Other theme park restaurants popping up at the Foodie Awards include Boma, which we're hoping to eat at next time we were there. The
Sorry,
Flavours
are
of
we talking
Africa.
Disney?
Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, reader winner of the Best African Stroke Soul Food. G-Co. Too many Disney. The Cooking Place. Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, runner-up Best African Stroke Soul Food. Hang on, runner-up, I see. The Latin Quarter at Universal City Walk was the reader's winner for Best Latin. And Victorian Albert's, also at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort, was the Critics' Choice and reader runner-up for Best Romantic.
Oh.
There you go. It's good to see Universal getting a couple in there.
I'd like
Yeah,
to
Latin Quarter's one of my favorites there.
We only did Mythos once. I mean, it was like...
And that was
2004. It was pretty good.
Oh, it was amazing food. It was really, really good. But I know that menu, it's completely changed from when we were there.
We hoped to go back last time and it just never fell into our schedule, did it?
Yeah.
And if you eat at, if you go to the Latin Quarter, make sure to get the Cuban.
That's the thing with rice for like £2 or something, isn't it? That you said is like the most ridiculous, the best like value on property.
Yeah, definitely, by far, I'd say.
I would like to try that. So, cool. Right. Let's head on over to the Hard Rock Hotel once again to see who's this month's offering for Velvet Sessions. Sure you all know by now, it's the Lemonheads. So they're going to be performing their classic album, It's a Shame About Ray, in its entirety from start to finish.
That's not impressive, considering the album's less than half an hour.
Yeah, I was just about to
I've
say...
never even heard of them.
Yeah.
It's a good album, though.
It's a very good album. Shame I don't have a copy of it anymore.
But it's 29 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not long for an album, like, is it?
Maybe they'll play it twice. Or have long breaks between each track. You never know. Who knows? Anyway, the date they're performing is Thursday the 23rd of February. It starts at 6:30 p.m. and as usual, tickets...
Apparently it'll be over at 7.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
We were the Lemonheads. Good night.
Don't turn up
You
late, whatever you do.
pay $1 for every minute.
Yeah. So tickets are $29 online, $35 at the door. VIP tickets are $50, which includes free specialty drinks and finger food, which are probably drugged to make you think the time's going slower. So buy your tickets online and you'll get early entry at 6 p.m. Woohoo, an extra half an hour.
It's double your
Twice the time.
Yeah.
Warm-up tunes start at 6:30 p.m. Lemonheads come on at 6:35. Not really. Head to velvetsessions.com or call 407-503-2401 to buy your tickets. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Now, just as a bit of fun, we posted a poll on our Facebook page about which of the 2012 Year to Be Here announcements you were most excited about, and the Spider-Man upgrade came out on top by a mile.
It did by an
As it
absolute
should.
mile. Really? You think
Yes. I think it just goes to show how well the attraction is received that an upgrade of a ride that's been around for over a decade now gets the top vote.
good point.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, I'm excited for Spider-Man, but I must admit that Lagoon show, I'm excited
What were
about.
the options?
the Blue Man Group, the Lagoon Show, the Parade, the Mini Golf, I think I put in there, and the Spider-Man upgrade.
I don't think the mini golf got any votes whatsoever.
Really?
Which I'm just because I am looking forward to that.
I'm really looking forward to it.
How those pictures I look when I uploaded them?
Great.
When your mum did them, you mean?
Well, I took them.
They look very good. Thank you very much.
Cool.
No. I was just wondering what you guys thought of how it looked.
I think it looks absolutely brilliant.
Can't wait.
Definitely.
Not as impressed by the price,
But moving on from that, Hunter, you went over to the parks last week.
I did.
And recorded your Fact Hunter live from there, which I was quite impressed with.
I try.
Yeah, so did you happen to go and check out Barney's backyard?
I did not because I didn't want to put up with the show, which apparently is the only way to gain interest. Well, from what I saw, I kind of just casually walked by and just assumed. I was looking for any excuse, to be honest.
Hunter said the only way you can gain entry to Barney's backyard is to see his show.
Actually, you got to
You can go the other way through the Echo Tunnel as well.
Right, so you took some pictures of the mini golf and we've just been talking about. What did you, looking at it first hand, Hunter? I'm just trying to ignore what's happening beside me at the moment. How good did it look?
Everything looked good, but I'm wondering if it's just going to be, because right now it just looks like a plain mini golf course. I'm hoping they add some things that look a bit out of the ordinary, maybe like some, not interactive necessarily, but maybe some cool special effects or anything like that. Like there's the whole house there. Maybe there's one where you go up under the house and there's, I don't know, projections or something.
Right.
Something neat to drag people in. Because right now, I mean, let's face it, Orlando has some really nice themed mini golf courses as it is. I want to see Universal get out of the park.
And not that far away either. You can literally come out of Universal and go 5 minutes down the road and find two.
Yeah, like the pirate one is right next to Wet n Wild, which is, like you said, probably 5 minutes away.
No, the pirate one's further down.
Yeah.
Pirate one's down by Ripley's. It's Congo whatever. No, it's not Congo River Rapids. I always call it Congo River Adventure.
Yeah.
Congo River Adventures on International Boulevard, right?
International Drive. Yeah, it's next to
International.
It's next.
I live here, and you know the name better than me.
Yeah,
then
it's next to like Sizzler, like there where Ponderosa is, and then there's the one just along from that as well.
Tiki Island.
Oh, there's three then.
Yeah.
Because there's one if you come down Universal Boulevard onto I Drive and turn left, there's one on the next corner
Next
along
to
as well.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Said I was shocked by how much I didn't know about Woody Woodpecker's Kids Zone, so I did wander in there and check everything out. Truth be told, most of it's pretty shabby looking. Truth be told, it all looks pretty outdated. It needs to be updated a bit.
So how big is that area back there?
How big is the area?
Yeah, because obviously we've only ever
counting
looked.
Curious George. It's a nice little good sized area. They could probably put a good sized attraction in there.
Cool. Jumping back into the mini golf, someone tweeted the other day that they spoke. It's all right. That they spoke to a City Walk security guard and told them it will be open very shortly, and it will be between $20 and $25 per game. But that's just rumor.
Yeah.
For both courses?
That I don't know.
I'm under the impression it's
I doubt it. Right, yeah, because each one is 18 hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be probably 20 for one, and then maybe 30 for both.
Yeah, I could see him doing something like that.
Yeah.
I think there'll be discounts and coupons and stuff out there, won't there?
Pretty steep, so people be expecting something very special.
You go as a
for
family
that.
of four is going to cost you nearly $100.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, it's as soon as they've already got the sign up and everything. It's literally as soon as you get off out of the parking garage area into right till you're about to walk on the City Walk. It's as soon as you walk in, straight to your right.
That's where the entrance is. I was just going to ask you that. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited about that. I love it. I think it looks cool.
Like they said, it's right next to the Cineplex.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Anything else?
Anything else? Let's see.
You did Animal Actors live on stage or whatever the hell it's called nowadays.
I did that. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not anything I would have to go see again, but I'm the kind of person who obsesses over cat videos, so this was perfect for me.
Okay.
Say nothing.
But nothing too exciting.
Nothing too exciting. I mean, they brought out Frank the Pug, and he had on like his little MIB uniform.
I thought that was quite
Brilliant.
cool.
Yeah, they had the dog from Marley and Me was there, and he was cute because he wouldn't listen to anything. I don't know. It was just an interesting show. Anytime that gets, especially I like that it had audience interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was always an interesting thing. Anything else? I did notice something though. I used to take your jokes about Rip Ride Rocket with a bit of just personal opinion. Now I see your biggest problem with it.
Go on.
Standing across the lagoon in front of MIB, you absolutely notice how much it just destroys the other side of the park skyline.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this nice, peaceful, and then there's just this giant red hump.
It does. It's a shame because
Nice
I've
one.
actually changed my opinion on it slightly since doing the podcast. I still don't think it fits, but I'm prepared to give it the benefit of the doubt and actually go and ride it and judge it on its own merits now.
Yeah, and like I posted a picture the other day, and wait time was 5 minutes.
And that's unreal. We went when we went, Tracy. The parks were dead. They were
and it was
absolutely
all
dead,
Rip Ride Rocket.
and it was never less than 45 minutes.
And see, that photo was taken around 11 o'clock.
So that's a time when you would expect it to be busy as well.
Yeah, right around, noon when everybody's coming into the parks and everything like that. Nope, 5 minutes. I think the highest I ever saw I get was 15.
We would walk into the park when we were there last in November, and it would be 45 minutes from like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Something that really impressed me, they brought back the creepy team members at the Mummy.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Good.
There was one walking around and he's actually holding a mummified baby in his arms.
Okay, that's a bit scary.
And he wouldn't say a single word, but he'd just point and like tilt his head wherever you needed to go, and he'd just hold up how many fingers. He reminded me very much of, all of them actually reminded me very much of the hotel attendants at Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Very silent and foreboding, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, besides random musings.
Right. Well, that's all the news we've got for this show, so let's get on with the rest of it. Now, as we've mentioned on the show, Twitter and the Facebook page, we approached Jim Hill and wondered if he'd be up for answering listener-submitted questions for an Ask Jim Hill segment.
Yeah, Jim said he was up for the idea as long as he could pick the questions and research the answers. So we'd like to welcome Jim on the show to answer your questions. Hi, Jim.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Jim. First off, thanks for agreeing for it, because I'll be honest, I didn't expect you to agree.
Hey?
That's news to me.
It's a lot of work involved, isn't it? Anyway, but before we get started, I'd like to say thanks for Josh over at the Daily Ticket, because it was his idea. He actually tweeted me and said, next time you have Jim on the show, is there any chance we can send questions? And I thought, what a good idea. And then also, Josh, thanks for sending like the biggest amount of questions that one person could ever possibly send.
Yes, definitely. I think he may have been up all night, literally. So anyway, let's crack on with the first question, which was submitted as a voicemail by our very good friend, Craig Lucas.
Hi Jim, thank you very much for taking the time to answer this question from Craig all the way over in Liverpool. We absolutely love you in our house. As they say in Liverpool, we think you're boss. So the question is this: we're travelling over to Orlando in August this year to celebrate my wife's 40th birthday. She'll absolutely kill me for saying that, but hey ho. Now we're going to Universal. We're hoping to stay in one of the hotels. Have you got any tips for the best hotel, or any interesting stories of the hotels to stay in? And is there any hidden gems within the park, or anything that we can do to enhance our trip to Universal to celebrate my wife's 40th? Okay, thanks Jim. Bye now.
So there we go, there's the first one.
Well, first of all, an early happy 39th birthday for your wife, or 25. I forget how old she actually is. Pretty young things. To be honest, I guess I have a couple of follow-up questions. If it's just the two of you going alone, or are you bringing any family members? Because that really does sort of factor into which hotel to do. I mean, if you're going with kids, I would recommend the Royal Pacific. It's got, the wonderful outdoor water pool, the sort of the steamship play area theme thing going there.
As far as I'm aware, there's a big group of them going, but from what I can gather, it's just going to be him, his wife, and the 2 kids staying at the hotel, I think.
For the special birthday.
Then that really does narrow the choice, because the thing of the Portofino, I mean, it's the it's the next step down room wise. I mean, the Royal Pacific is 1,000 rooms and 51 suites, but it really doesn't feel like that. In fact, I think that's the real charm of what Universal has done, is none of their large hotels necessarily feel like large hotels. But if they've got the 2 kids, the Royal Pacific really is the way to go. If it were a solo trip, it's then time to look at either Portofino or Hard Rock. And I don't know, that Hard Rock for me tends to skew. It's a younger, louder crowd. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's wonderful things they do at the hotels there, like the Velvet Sessions, where you get those intimate performances by well-known rock groups. But transportation really is an issue. The water taxi goes from each of these parks relatively on a fairly frequent basis, and each of them has their charms. The Portofino and the Hard Rock are really closer to the classic Universal Studios, whereas Royal, the Royal Pacific really is Isla's Adventure adjacent. But yeah, I really, if you're looking for a good hotel for a family vacation, I would go with the Royal Pacific.
Well, I'd just like to say on behalf of my family, thank you for asking that question, because we've been and ahhing over where to stay when we go over next year, and I think we've just made our mind up.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Again, there isn't a bad hotel on property there, but the interesting thing is they do all have their own sort of vibe, and for family friendly, it's got to be Royal Pacific.
Right. Good to know.
Definitely.
Good to know. I'm happy because that's what I was leading towards anyway.
It was, yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to some of Josh's questions here. The first one of his that Jim chose is, officially, does Universal have the rights to add to Marvel Superhero Island, or are they constricted due to Disney's acquisition of Marvel? And this is definitely a hot-button topic.
Yeah, I'm quite interested for the answer to this one.
Language of the master licensing agreements for this side of the park are so precise, so ironclad that, Disney's attorneys have gone over these things back to front. And, they've actually looked for ways as to, are there early opts out? Can we get these characters back? And the language is just so strong and so specific. I mean, there are master licensing deals for, how a Marvel character can appear on a marquee, how a Marvel character can appear inside of a shop, inside of a restaurant, inside of a, for each of these individual circumstances that the characters are used, they are, that's it, that's how they can be used. And as a direct result, Disney can't really pull these characters out, but conversely, Universal only can make use of those characters that are locked into these master licensing agreements. And even there, the language that's so vexing for Disney. I mean, for example, a Universal character that's on these master licensing agreements, they can't be used in a theme park setting for 250 miles around, Isla's Adventure. And, unless they're willing to move Walt Disney World, out into the Gulf, this ain't happening. So it's kind of a Mexican standoff. Disney can't get the characters, but conversely, Universal can't expand outward. In fact, they were lucky, if you think about it, to have gotten that Storm attraction in when they did, because that was never going to happen again.
Right.
So I wish I could tell you that this situation was going to resolve itself. And in fact, you have to understand that there is a history with Universal already and Disney kind of having backdoor conversations. I mean, for example, that's how they got Oswald back. This was kind of a back channel chat. So it's not unheard of to have Universal and Disney sort of do this, sort of like, all right, you give us this and I'll give you that. And what I heard, have we ever talked about the whole Wicked situation?
Off the air, yes, you've told us all about it, but I don't think we've ever actually discussed it on the podcast.
Because again, in fact, Disney's already finished shooting it. It's now going to begin months and months and months of effects work. But Oz the Great and Powerful, the sort of the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It's they've got James Franco playing the wizard, and they've got Mila Kunis playing the character that eventually becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. I've read the script. It's wonderful. It's a great film, kind of in the style of Alice in Wonderland or the Tim Burton thing.
Right.
And, but much in the same way that Jeffrey Katzenberg reached out to Disney and Pixar when they were making Ants and offered to kill that movie. And so that Bug's Life would go into theaters with no competition if Disney would, stay away from King of Egypt, their very first movie out of the box. My understanding is Universal wanted Disney to kill their Alice prequel, or excuse me, their Oz prequel. So Wicked would have, a clear shot that, it would be the only Oz movie out there. And Disney, for some reason, just would not back down on this issue. It's a good script, but I don't know if it's worth giving up the theme park rights to all of the Marvel characters for Florida. Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and I don't think it's a coincidence that Universal turned around after this negotiation broke down and then spent all of this money to retool Spider-Man. I think this is really sort of a large spider-shaped middle finger in Disney's direction.
and it looks amazing. I mean, it was obviously when they made the announcements on Wednesday, they've dropped out a load of the renderings for it and the first scene and stuff, and it does look stunning.
Yes, it does. But that shows how far leaps and bound wise, computer animation has grown. I mean, just the use of shaders, the level of detail compared to what the ride used to be like. It's stunning, but but at the same time, having spent this money, that means that attraction's sitting there, for at least another 5-10 years. And, from Disney's side of the fence, this has got to be incredibly frustrating because they really, really, really want to start making more use of the Marvel characters. In fact, their animated Spider-Man series debuts in March on Disney XD, and of course we've got the Avengers coming out in May, and it's these are things they want desperately to drop into theme parks here in the States. And
quite an interesting thing from Disney's point of view, though, that if some whatever happened, they eventually negotiated those contracts, and Universal took the rides out of Islands of Adventure and rethemed it to whatever they decided they wanted to retheme it to. Unless Disney did something as good as Spider-Man, because surely they wouldn't put the same ride in as it is. Everyone's going to compare whatever they put into Disney to that ride, because let's be honest, it is arguably the best ride in Orlando, if not possibly the world. I mean, it is absolutely amazing, but anybody who goes to Disney and goes, all right, see what Disney have done, and it's not anything like the one in Universal, going to go, well, this is rubbish.
That's a valid point, that and I know the Imagineer, the irony is that, what is it? Scott Trull, the gentleman who wrote Hurt on that, is now over at Disney. And in fact, that was got kind of interesting when James Cameron came to town and they were marching him around, showing him, Disney's Animal Kingdom. The very next day, here's, Scott taking him over to Islands Adventure and showing him Harry Potter. And, it's just kind of, that Scott signed acres upon acres of non-disclosures. So in theory, he can't really be sharing any info with Disney about the proprietary technology that's used for Spider-Man. But, again, there's a room where you really want to be a spider on the wall or a fly on the wall. Just want to hear what that guy says. So,
yes.
So,
very interesting. Right, so the next question of Josh's at Jim's Hold was another one I'm quite interested about because it's something I kind of knew about but didn't really. But his question was, why did Universal scrap the original storyline for Poseidon's Fury? Poseidon fighting his brother Zeus sounds much more interesting than Poseidon fighting Lord Darchanon, who sounds like a bad comic book villain.
It does.
In a weird sort of way, we're kind of in a parallel track for the redo of Spider-Man. The initial animation that was done for Poseidon's Fury, it was fine, but it wasn't great. I mean, the weird thing of it was, did you actually get over to see the attraction in that iteration, or?
I don't think so. Do you know when it changed, Jim?
I want to say 2004, 2005. I mean, it wasn't all that long after the park opened.
The first time we did Poseidon's Fury was Halloween Horror Nights 2004 at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So, to be honest, I don't really remember. Darren, did you?
I definitely did. Because I was there the year Islands of Adventure opened. We were there the very first opening year, a couple months after it had opened. So
right.
In fact, you can go on YouTube. You can see this iteration. It's always had some of the most impressive stagecraft in all of Florida. I mean, between the illusion of returning to the room that you started out in.
Yeah.
There's some absolutely killer stuff that's done in this thing. But as the story was told previously, with the little old man who just here I am, I'm leading you into the chamber, and it never quite hit the way it was supposed to. That coupled with the fact that when they got to, again, here I guess walking by signs that say Poseidon's Fury. So it's like, okay, to any of us, here, on the computer talking via Skype, it's like Poseidon's Fury. It's like, I'm betting Poseidon is pissed. I mean, the name outside said he's the bet. But, they'd interview people, like, at the end, did survey work, and it's like, it was kind of surprising that in an attraction called Poseidon's Fury, Zeus is the hero. It's like, shouldn't it be like Zeus's, Zeus wins? Zeus, and it was just one of these things they realized that they had wonderful stagecraft. I mean, just that water tunnel alone, is one of the most killer illusions in all of Orlando. But it was, but the irony is they replaced it with a version of the show that right now is so dialogue heavy. This thing is, and this is something that everybody who does a theme park in Florida, you have so many international guests who, and it's just, and the whole notion is that if English is their second language and they're not really going to get, hours and hours of dialogue about, oh, look, there's a secret message on the wall that's all in English from.
This is something I hadn't considered.
No, I hadn't.
And that's the thing, that when it's miles and miles and miles of dialogue. And yes, I mean, we all understand, there's fire and fireballs. It's like, okay, that guy on screen is not happy. But it's another one of these shows where, I know it's actually on the list to be, and in fact, if all of the talk about the Potter expansion is true, there's actually been some conversations about taking the physical plant that's there and making it the Chamber of Secrets.
That rumour's been flying around for ages.
Yeah.
You know, now that the word's out about the Hogwarts Express actually linking the two parks, and, you know, now, again, the only thing that I hear is safe is Mythos. And even then, you know, if they're, in fact, going to, you know, put a second Lagoon show in, which is supposedly being considered,
Ooh.
you know, well, again, you know, you have to understand that the center of gravity at Universal is going to change this summer, you know, with the, you know, their 100-year, you know, the 100th anniversary show out in the Universal Studios Lagoon.
Well, that's the whole point of it, isn't it?
You know, I mean, that's the park with the most sit-down restaurants, and I mean that's, you know, in a lot of ways that's kind of the Disney playbook. I mean, there is a reason that when all of the parks except Epcot close before, you know, 7, 8, you know, o'clock at night, and you know, but Epcot's open till 10, with, you know, illumination starting at 9:30 or thereabouts. There's a reason for that. They want you all to funnel in that direction to go to that park that has all those restaurants. And the only problem is that Universal Studios Florida, as beautiful park as it is, that waterway was never really built for this kind of a show. I mean, for its opening summer and for a number of years after that, they had that sort of Miami Vice show where, you know, people ran back and forth with speedboats and shot at each other, and, you know, I mean, but again, it was one of these things where, because of the noise and the explosions and the you know, the boat zooming by, you felt like you got, you know, a memorable experience out of it. Okay, I get it. The boat drove into the warehouse, it blows up. Okay, I understand what went on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Flip side, though, a show like this that's all clips and music and, you know, being able to see the screens, this is a little more problematic. And there's a lot of, you know, people within Universal who legitimately pushed. It's like, look, if we're doing this, we should do this over at Islands. It's got the better sightlines. The center of gravity at the Universal Orlando Resort has so fundamentally changed since the opening of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Being, you know, the parade go into the studio and this water show go into the studio, and, you know, the day-long performances by the characters in Despicable Me. It's like, this is all intended to sort of tip the balance at least a little bit, you know, and then hopefully when Diagon Alley opens, that, you know, there will be, we look at doing some sort of a water show for the for Islands.
Makes a lot of sense.
Interesting to see what they come up with. Yeah. The last of Josh's questions, chosen by our lovely guest for this Ask Jim Hill session, was, since the expansion seems like it's going to the studios and more people will make Universal Orlando a multi-day vacation, will Universal finally develop that large property south of Islands of Adventure with some value resorts? I just received a Universal survey about hotels, and it seems like they're interested in adding more inexpensive hotels with competitive amenities.
Is legit. They are, in fact, looking at these. They're two rather sizable pieces of property. If you, Google Earth the property, you can actually see them. They're actually out behind the Royal Pacific. In fact, what's kind of interesting is this was actually a staging area that was used. A lot of the work that Nacelle had done for Harry Potter. I remember seeing the top pieces and the walls for Hogwarts Castle stored out here.
Right.
They know that if they had their equivalent of, say, the Port Orleans or the Caribbean Beach in response, you know, that they could bring that many more guests in. But at the same time, this is the piece of property that, were they to do a third theme park, this would be the piece of property they'd use. So it's and, you know, again, Universal doesn't have the advantage that Disney has. And, you know, they don't have 40 square miles to develop. I think hard about what goes where. It's kind of, again, like what happened with Jaws versus Diagon Alley. It's, just sort of like, okay, we got to pull this out of the park. And in fact, if they do in fact connect with the Hogwarts Express, that means that you lose Disaster to provide the setup for the King's Crossing station. So it's always with these guys, it's chess. It's like if we move that piece, we take that piece out, we want a stronger piece to go in. And, and of course, remember that you have to now turn around and go to your corporate partner Lowe's and go, oh, by the way, do you want to be a partner on this? And how, and they have to sign off on the idea, or they have to agree to let Universal develop this on their own. So it's lots of wheels within wheels within wheels. But yes, this is something long range they're looking at, and don't be surprised if within the next 10 years there is some sort of a moderate resort there. But at the same time, don't be surprised if they parcel the land out very weirdly, because they want to make sure that should they want to turn the key in Park 3, they have the land to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've spoke about it a lot recently, that a lot of the things that they seem to be announcing at the moment are trying to, like you've told us before, Jim, that they've realised now that they're getting people over from Disney, and with doing a parade and the fireworks and the mini golf, and they're trying to keep those day visitors longer into the parks. And I think by putting in cheaper hotels, you'll keep people there longer as well.
Yeah.
When you look at just this list of stuff that they've announced, it's all incremental. They're all looking to add, just grabbing a few more hours per day. Whether it's, think about it. You have your 5 o'clock parade, and then you have your 7 or 8 o'clock at night presentation of, your Lagoon show, which means that, I tell you that anybody who stayed for the parade is going to hang on for the Lagoon show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to kill time by going into the shops. And, it just, in a lot of ways, it is the Disney playbook. And it's so smart of Universal to adapt it to their own needs. But what I found fascinating about this announcement, if you look at the parade, with its Dora the Explorer and SpongeBob, SquarePants, but the fact that 2 of the units are actually, Despicable Me and Hop themed, these Universal characters, wholly owned Universal characters. Yeah. Borax coming out later this month, March, and that potentially will be the next big Universal animation franchise, and they're going to try to develop as many properties in-house so that they then don't have to pay other people for the rights and royalties to use these in a theme park setting.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Just paying megabucks to James Cameron, to sort of do the blue skin version of Pocahontas. But I digress. So
you make a good point, because it seems that Universal are now doing what Disney have done very successfully for 30 or 40 years, and Disney are now doing what Universal have had to do to get as successful as they are.
The past year and a half, 2 years, have been a great time for Universal. But you also have to face facts that Disney is still ahead by a considerable length. I mean, the 7 or 8 million people who go per year to islands and the studio, when you compare that number to the 22 million that go to the Magic Kingdom, it's far, there's a considerable lead that Disney has. But that said, they know that Universal has shifted the patterns in Florida. They know, from Harry Potter. They know from what they're seeing with incremental changes in retail and, business at restaurants. I mean, Disney, is one of those weird organizations where, they can look at a spreadsheet and determine, it's like, wow, it rained at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's how many people missed their, their dinner reservations, and they have their history that they can consult and figure out, okay, this was a day that must have been over 100 degrees because, we sold that many more beverages. So they know the impact that Universal and particularly Harry Potter has had on their parks. But Universal's got a number of years yet before, and a third theme park would be part of this. A theme, all pieces of the puzzle that will eventually make them, a very serious competitor. They're a competitor. They are, the strong number two in a market that's dominated by Disney, and he's eyeballing them hard. But it's just they still have a long way to go.
And that kind of rolls into the next question we got. There's next series of questions is actually from Paul at Stingray Travel. The first one he asked was about the third theme park. And he says a while back a survey was done talking about a third gate at Universal Resort. Now that Universal's rolling in the dough and looking down the line some years later, could we see a third theme park from Universal?
Thing in the dough, because to be honest, a lot of this dough is going to J.K. Rowling, and Warner's. It's just sort of they're getting their cut and they're happy with their cut. I mean, obviously, they wouldn't be doing Diagon Alley or the Hogwarts Castle for Universal Studios Hollywood if they weren't really pleased of the chunk of business that they're getting. But this is a three-way split. And I think Warner's is more handing off their chunk to Rowling than Universal, but I digress. Problem of a third park, figuring out what to build it around.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you'd heard any rumors.
I know we talked previously about the Tooniversal when they were going to do the DC characters and the Warner Brothers characters and the Acme Acres, Tiny Toons area. Again, they weren't willing to make that, $40 million payment to get these, the theme park rights to all these characters in perpetuity, and they slipped through their grasp. So, trying to decide what it is that's missing at this point then becomes the challenge. What is it to bring to the table that would make people that much more likely to book their vacation at the Royal Pacific or, the Hard Rock, and again, a 3 or 4 or 5 day stay, because that's, ultimately always the challenge, that when Disney built, in fact, there's the famous story of, the Celebration Preview Center, where, if, you went there for the presentation to buy your home, they talked about how, they were still in the process of building Animal Kingdom, but, you're going to be 10 minutes away from, the fourth Disney theme park, and, and they conspiratorially whispered, and you'll be 5 minutes away from where we're going to build our fifth theme park. And that, so the land, the expansion pad, the site for the fifth theme park has been designated. Will they, in fact, build it? It's kind of doubtful right now because of what happened. That when they opened Animal Kingdom in May of 1998, what they found was that rather than adding an extra day to their Disney World vacation, people shaved half a day off of either going to the studio or Epcot. I mean, they kept their trip to the Kingdom, solid. That they still did their normal 2 days at the Kingdom, but they actually shaved off either what they did at the studios or at Epcot. And so, because again, it's not like people are going to get more vacation time, or their credit limit is automatically going to be raised because you've built another theme park. So, that's kind of why Disney has been doing what it's been doing lately, between adding new attractions to parks to make sure that people, go back to them, or, looking for new ways on property to mining additional niches, whether it's the X-Plan or, different dining experiences, or, stuff that's being done over at the Disney Shopping Village. So it's the same issue for Universal. It's, okay, what do we do that gets people to expand their vacations, that makes them stay here? So some of the stuff's obvious. I mean, you just, for example, the miniature golf course that will be opening next month in City Walk. That's a brilliant move, because that's another hour that somebody will spend in the City Walk complex. I mean, say you show up early, you get a dinner reservation, you get a ticket for a movie, but the show isn't for 2 hours. You now have some place to go kill time. Yeah. That's, in a fun way. The interesting noting the Hop and Despicable Me stuff going into the parade, because in a way, Universal has always been, let Disney have the young kids, let them have the Disney princesses and, that sort of thing. We'll get them when they're that little bit older. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time they've actually skewed that young. I mean, that whole parade, if you look at it between SpongeBob and Dora and Despicable Me and Hop, that's skewed eight and under. Definitely. And, and so the surveys that were done initially about Park 3 was something that was more preschool, aiming at that market. But, it's kind of interesting. I remember being sent a copy of an early survey, and it was talking about a lot of properties that, frankly, Universal didn't have any rights to. Sort of like, would you be interested in going to see a park that had the Sesame Street characters? Or would you be interested in going, and this gives you some idea of how long ago this third park survey was, would you be interested in seeing a Universal Lego park?
Okay. Interesting.
And it's kind of ironic, because there was a time there where even Disney was talking with Lego about possibly that being their fifth park on property. That, because again, it's just sort of like, it skews to the young audience. It, be relatively easy to build with somebody else's money. We give them our intellectual property. So, instead of coming to see a miniature recreation of New York City, you're now looking at a miniature, recreation of Agrabah or Belle's Village and the Beast Castle, that sort of thing.
That would have been quite cool.
Universal was looking at, if we're going to get people to stay, that's an audience we need to develop. And if we're talking Park 3, that's probably what you'll see. Because, frankly, if you look at the other two parks cold-bloodedly, between the coasters and the raft rides and all that, they're already, they have the young adult market pretty well locked up, but it's the kids stuff. So, yeah, I again, keep an eye on that chunk of property we talked about earlier for the hotels, because somewhere, if they do opt to finally turn the key on the third park, going to be very family friendly, keyed around films and characters, whether from television or literature, that appeal to the smaller set. And that in fact, this is what's kind of interesting. Out of all the stuff that was announced last week, for auditions for a Kung Fu Panda show.
Nice.
Oh.
No mention whatsoever of the show in their lineup of entertainment for the year, which I thought was kind of bizarre. I mean, they've been bringing in Orlando entertainers who have martial arts skills, and they've got to be able to dance, they've got to have martial arts skills, and all they've been told is it's for a Kung Fu Panda show that they haven't developed. So you just wonder if maybe giving DreamWorks sets of characters, and they already have sort of this pre-existing deal that, and that coupled with it's been a very persistent rumor over the past year and a half, 2 years, that DreamWorks Animation is on the block. That, that characters, long range, could that be the basis for the park? So.
Very interesting. Actually, I'm going to drop another one of Paul's questions in there that wasn't one of the ones he sent us over, but he took a picture of some DC merchandise that he'd seen in the parks. I think it was a Green Lantern t-shirt. He was obviously interested to see whether there was any chance of seeing DC stuff in there.
DC is so locked in as a Six Flags property. I mean, I'm sure a merchandise buyer, again, just you have to fill the shelves. It's just I'm sure it's just a T-shirt and nothing more. But it's not that they wouldn't love to have it, but they just didn't make that deal. No. $40 million, they could have had them theme park rights forever and didn't do it. So
that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
That's such a shame as well, because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, the next question that we chose was, is there any chance, Jim, the rumours of a water park coming to Universal Resort are true?
Honest, they kind of already have a water park. I mean, it went wild. In fact, the money they're putting in this summer for the family-friendly redo with the new slides and this is kind of a proof of concept. If they can, and when this opens later this summer, there will be a big-time on-property push. That you'll see standees and literature in the hotel lobbies. You'll probably see some sort of promotion involving park guests, where that if they go over to Wet n Wild and show their ticket, they'll be able to get admission for half off, or that to that effect. But they're seeing if they can get a return on the money that they're spending on Wet n Wild, because if that actually happens, the long-range plan is to do an entire Universal-themed redo of Wet n Wild. Just basically, shut it down for a year and bring it back full bore, but highly, highly themed. Coupled with a transportation system that would take people from, again, and when I say transportation system, we're talking buses, okay?
Not a monorail or anything.
Teleportation.
I thought maybe a really big water slide right from the park to the other one.
That I like.
The top of the Portofino and grab your tire. Excuse me, tube. No, when they had that land that was over by the convention center, when they were initially going to be doing multiple parks and multiple Pleasure Island type city walk collections of restaurants and shops and movie theaters and that sort of thing, there was some talk of actually a transportation system, whether it was a people mover like or monorail like, that would link all of these properties. But for Wet n Wild, I don't see that happening, at least not immediate future, but a dedicated series of Wet n Wild buses leaving from each of the hotels to bring guests back and forth. I know that's already in the cards. And a lot of this sort of keys off of when they open this brand new play area and they give it lots of hype, how many of the guests actually take advantage of this? How many of the guests stretch out their Universal vacation by half a day to do a Wet n Wild experience, because he is kind of away from property for them. And, it's kind of dangerous in that, I mean, people going to Wet n Wild aren't necessarily automatically going to eat in Universal's restaurants. They can just walk out on I Drive and, go to the fast food places out there. Likewise, they can, shop away. I mean, there's a certain amount of hesitation from actually prefer to do a water park on property. But again, you have so little real estate, in the grand scheme of things. And they own this water park. So it's like, come on, guys. I mean, yeah, it's a bus. And yes, we may lose some of these people walking out the door to go get stuff. And, and there's always the horror story of the child that gets separated from the family and, instead of being on Universal property, they're not. They're out on I Drive. But that's the attorneys talking, not the creatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is as well that your general theme park goer probably doesn't even know that Universal own Wet n Wild.
No, perhaps not.
It's kind of what they're going to try to do here. But if, again, this works, if putting in this new themed area works, and they get significant reaction again, you're going to see them brand the name, retheme the thing very heavily, so it then becomes a universal Orlando quality property.
Well, I know Paul actually sent us a draft somewhere of the paperwork for the name that's been submitted for it, and it was it Wonder Sea Island or Wonder Sea Adventure or something along those lines.
Sounds about right. I know that they have 4 and 5 different names that they're looking to do. And, that there's also the question of, do we do the movie theme? Do we do television theme? Do we do a brand new theme all by itself? I mean, face it, it's not like Orlando doesn't have a bunch of water parks already.
Yeah.
Between, the Aquatica and Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon, you got to carve out an identity. And this summer, go to Wet and Wild.
Yes, absolutely. Right, so the next question you chose, Jim, was, will Universal turn their working movie sound stages into theme park attractions? Back when Universal was opening, it was touted as a real working studio. Will Universal abandon the whole working studios and focus on making the area a place for more attractions?
Honest, they already have. I mean, if you think about how many of these sound stages already pressed into service for Halloween Horror Nights, or for example, how the Grinch show is now, actually done back in the stage that they used to use. Is it frustrating for the working actors of Orlando that there's not as much television or film being shot there? It's like, absolutely. But again, I guess we've kind of, the drumbeat for this whole show is Universal only has so much room. And every time they bring something new in, something has to go. I mean, for example, the Boneyard had to go to make room for that outdoor, grassy area that people could sit in front of the, the Universal Florida outdoor, sound, amphitheater.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad because those are honestly wonderful sound stages. If you've actually been on them, they are, beautiful, state of the art, at least for 1991 or thereabouts. And, the number of films that have been shot there in television series, people have just raved about them, but there's just not as much work as they thought that there would be. And as a result of which, I would imagine over the next 10 or 15 years, particularly if we do see the Hogwarts Express project move forward, you're going to see a couple of these sound stages get swallowed and become attractions or support for attractions.
Makes sense.
That is a shame. That's one thing I do miss from going there as a kid was the Nickelodeon studios that they had there and going and actually being a part. The show wasn't actually on television, but they made you feel like it was. And I think that's the big part of the park there that they're missing out on now.
Like, I was talking with a friend who works in themed entertainment, and he's actually working on a number of movie theme parks that are being built in the Far East now. Paramount's about to do, I think, a park in Singapore. And is that as you're doing a park, you always have we're going to take you behind the scenes, aspect of it. And the problem is it's not the 1960s anymore. You can't get on the tram and, go by the Munsters house. These days, like a film like the Transformers, it's not like you actually make a Transformer for that movie. I mean, the answer is, well, how did you do that? We used the computer. And that's the answer basically for everything. And, that's not all that exciting. You're not going to get in a plane and fly down to Orlando and book a hotel room because it's like, oh, I want to go see the show where they tell me a computer did it. So they are, and that coupled with the fact that, they as they thought they were initially. And, anybody who took the tour, it's sort of like, You kept looking at on things like the Game Lab where people were like, come, we'll teach you how to eat gack. So it's hard to build an attraction around, or, to get people to come for that sort of thing.
Yeah. Shame, really.
The next question Jim chose was, I was stunned to find out that Crash Bandicoot, a video game character, was part of the walking characters in the park. Is there a chance that Universal will explore the idea of having more video game IPs in the park? For example, Nintendo's, we got Nintendo, Call of Duty, Halo, Xbox, Sony PlayStation, or any video game properties at Universal as an attraction. Also, how did Universal ever get Crash Bandicoot, which is a Sony property, to be at Universal?
We met him.
We did. It was one of my best character meets.
A picture with him. We came out of ET and he was there.
Yeah.
The last question first. So they got Crash Bandicoot from Sony pretty much the same way they got the Men in Black, another Sony property. They have a good working relationship with Sony Columbia, and, were just able to negotiate to get the property brought into the park. Much the same as we were talking about earlier, that Universal just didn't have a lot of kid-friendly characters. I mean, face it, as cute as it is to bump into Popeye, that's a character from 60, 70 years ago that, kids today don't really connect with. So they were really looking to connect with kids today. So when they found out that Crash Bandicoot was available, they grabbed it in a heartbeat. It's always kind of funny to talk with these themed entertainment guys about, how they'll, well, how did you get that character? It's like, well, his management reached out. I remember talking with a friend of mine about when they were changing out Journey into Imagination at Epcot. And, of course, this being the new Disney company, they were looking to get celebrity in it. And so the notion was that, well, what if we put you into a celebrity's imagination? And so, well, who could we get? And they contacted Disney Legal, and Disney Legal came back and said, well, we were contacted the past week by Michael Jordan and Aardman. So, do you want to go into Michael Jordan's imagination, or do you want to go into Wallace's imagination? So, me personally, I would have preferred to go into Gromit's imagination, but yeah, that's just how it is. That a deal memo will come through, and someone will eyeball it, and how much are the rights per year, and that's how they ended up with Crash Bandicoot. Is Universal exploring bringing additional video game characters? Right now, no. They're concentrating on their own, if possible. It's somewhat frustrating for Universal that they have characters like their own monsters. The classic Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein from the 1940s, that they've never quite gotten the traction at the parks that they'd wanted. I mean, you've got that one sort of monster-themed restaurant there, but even on Halloween Horror Nights, because they were considered truly frightening in the 40s, but now they're just kind of tame and cute. They had great hopes that Van Helsing, when that movie was, the Hugh Jackman movie from a couple of years ago, that had hit. I mean, the plan was that was going to be used to revitalize the monsters for the parks and resorts. And in fact, there's a great story about how Stephen Sommers he actually makes a presentation to Universal Creative, as they're getting ready to shoot Van Helsing, and and he figures it's a standard meeting. It's just I'm sort of informing people of what they're doing, and it's like, so what do you think? And the guy basically says, Stephen, don't screw this up. And it was like, it was like, what? I mean, I'm the guy who's just made The Mummy for Universal and made all of this money, and you're doing that as a ride. Says, you don't understand. We are giving you multiple Universal monsters. You've got the werewolf, you've got Dracula, you've got Frankenstein. And if you do this right, we're talking about being able to revitalize entire sections of the park, brand new rides. If you screw this up, it'll be another 10 or 15 years before we'll be able to circle around again and do these monsters. And sure enough, Van Helsing just did not connect. And it was a couple of years after that they then had that whole problematic, Wolfman redo with, and in fact, that was so sad because I remember, it was like 4 or 5 weeks before, I think this was the 2009 Halloween Haunt opened, and they were so excited because this is the first time that they were going to open a maze, just ahead of the release of a new, Universal picture, and they worked closely with the film, the team, and they got the music from Danny Elfman, and the look and the props and all that. And then 5 or 6 weeks out, Universal announces, they've had a couple of really bad test screenings, and the release date of the movie gets pushed back to January. And their opportunity lost. So no, that's another property that Universal would dearly love to have in the parks, because again, that's something Disney doesn't have. Disney doesn't do horror. And Universal, for 2 months out of the year, makes so much money off of horror that they'd love to be able to find a way to cash in on it for the other 10 months out of the year. But you actually have to have a successful movie to do that, and that just has not happened yet.
No, which is a shame. It's funny, we spoke about it recently, about the Wolfman and Dracula and stuff, didn't we? They're hoping that they would give it a decent part in the Lagoon show, didn't we? Yeah.
I'm a big fan of stuff like that.
That they are restoring, in fact, as part of the centennial of the studio, they're restoring, I think it's Dracula and both of the Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. And supposedly, given the restoration work, there will at least be clips of those featured as part of this. Though, just a quick fun side note here. Again, they were looking for ways to bring horror into the park permanently. And one of the ideas, and actually they had a protracted conversation with him, was a Stephen King ride.
Interesting.
You were supposed to, because again, the notion was that you had Amity, which was sort of kind of set in New England, and you were then going to have basically tear down or flat out gut Earthquake, and in its place they were going to have this really sort of tumble down movie theater that was showing Stephen King movies, and you'd walk into the building and you'd get on what you thought was kind of the standard Disney theme park train attraction, and they had this wonderful opening scene where basically you sort of rode into this theater that was showing Stephen King movies, and I believe it was the clown from It,
Pennywise,
but
stuff of nightmares.
Really clever about this ride was that you were in a train, or so you thought, and so Pennywise talks to you from the screen and then makes a gesture, and the 4 cars that are the train literally go to 4 different corners of the room. And you're now, it's only then that you realize that you're in, kind of, they wanted to use the same technology that Disney uses for honey hunts at Tokyo Disneyland. So it's a trackless vehicle, only, you're going through the equivalent of a Stephen King movie-based funhouse. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it would have been killer. And evidently, King was on board for quite a while. But I think it was they had issues with the technology, and there were some disagreements on licensing fees and all that. But again, that's trying to get actual horror, 365 days a year in the park, as opposed to, from Labor Day to just after, Halloween. And
right.
I mean, there's parks that can prove it works as well, because is it Thorpe Park has the Saw maze that's open all year round.
That makes sense on paper. It's going to make sense financially. I mean, trust me that they were terrified making the deal with J.K. Rowling and Warner's, because this was a very big check, and Again, in fact, it's the same sort of level of resistance that hit when they were talking about Diagon Alley. It's just sort of like, tell me in 5 years this is going to be as big as it is right now. Just released the last movie. Tell me this is going to be this popular. Only makes sense if we continue to make this level of, our chunk, stay steady for 5 to 10 years. So
the last one of Paul's questions that Jim chose was that now that Harry Potter is becoming a massive focus for Universal at their parks, J.K. Rowling stated that she is writing 2 more novels in the Potter universe. I think Paul's got a bit mixed up, and I think he's talking about maybe the Pottermore stuff. Perhaps. But anyway, but since the series has been put on rest for a while, will more movies or a TV show come along to help keep Harry Potter alive as the lands continue to stay?
Okay. This actually comes from friends who work at Warner's rather than at Universal.
Right.
But you have to understand that Warner's made a ridiculously large amount of money off of Harry Potter, and the Potter train is basically pulled into the station. Okay, in fact, it's been a lot of the people who were working on Potter, kind of recognize this, and the out ahead of Deathly Hallows 1, actually. A lot of the members of the Potter maintenance team, so to speak, actually moved over to do the DC side of the street. They're working on the new Superman movie and, the final, Batman. There was a conversation about, well, how do we do this? How do we circle back on this stuff? And the conversation that was had sort of floated the idea that the movies have done ridiculously well, but they're all 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 2 3/4 hours, but you couldn't squeeze the entire book in. It was never the case. Well, kind of interesting because, of course, we're now watching on HBO, the huge success of Game of Thrones. Long stories where a season would be a book, or, in some cases, just half of a book. Conversations that are had, basically, I guess there was sort of a sit-down between HBO and Warner's, basically about a Harry Potter series, where each book, at the very least, would be 8 hours worth of television. You have to understand that it has to make sense financially. So they were talking, rather than live actors, to do CG, something in the style or the stylization that's done for Star Wars, The Clone Wars. And again, at this point, it's literally just sort of a handshake deal, kind of okay, let's agree that in 5 to 7 years we're going to circle back on this idea. And, again, in fact, what's kind of funny is that they were hoping that it would be close enough to the time that, for example, you could reach out and maybe persuade a Maggie Smith to come back and do McGonagall, or at the very least, to get the young kids who had voiced roles early, the early films, the live action films actually come in and do some work in the animation. But again, nothing's, there are no contracts, there are no. This is just sort of a deal or a discussion to make a deal. But yeah, they definitely want to circle back on this world. And the whole gimmick of this television series is, all those great little moments that you didn't get in the movies, we're going to get to them. Just fuller, richer take on these wonderful books. It means that, from Warner's side of the fence, it means that if you turn the key on this, talking about 8 years worth of television. It's a scary amount of money to commit up front. So
cool.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to watch 8 years of Harry Potter book in a TV series. It'd be brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. The final question Jim has chosen for this segment was submitted by Derek Bergen. Jim's talked a lot about the success of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter merchandise sales. Any idea what type of dollars we're talking about? Also, what are the merchandise sales for Universal Orlando Resort outside of the Wizarding World? Other than Thing 1 and Thing 2 shirts, which actually we've got 3 and 4,
Yeah.
I can't think of much Universal Orlando Resort has done to establish merchandise that people go out of their way to buy. Even before Disney bought Marvel, the amount of any cool Marvel Universal-related merchandise was almost nil.
I have to stress here that the information that I have for this is strictly anecdotal. I've talked with the people who've worked at the shops. I've talked with the key creatives who've worked on this, who are forthcoming with information, but only up to a point. And a lot of this info kind of dates for the first year of Harry Potter, where people were extra crazy. I don't know if there's been a decline necessarily, but they were seeing for the first summer of Harry Potter that if people went into Ollivanders and began and experienced the wand thing, that they virtually every child that took part in the wand thing, the parents sprang for the wand. But what was fascinating was the corona effect, that the 20 other people who were in the room watching this, fully half of them would linger in Ollivanders and buy something. And in fact, most cases, they would spring for the $40 wand. So they were seeing, they were supercharging people, and I mean supercharging, not overcharging, as in supercharging, getting them really excited and then sending them into a retail environment. And some of the Potter fans will drop $300 to $400 without even blinking an eye. They buy the robes, they buy the candy, they buy the wands, the individual props, and it's continued very, very strong. Now, you're right. As for the other aspects of Universal, they had the standard theme park sales. They had the plush, they had the T-shirts, they had the hats, but nothing compared to what happened with Potter. And again, it is not a coincidence that you're seeing Diagon Alley going in with its giant retail and food operations, because they want to spread the wealth, literally. They want to give, Universal Studios Florida as big a financial driver, so in turn they can take their third or their chunk of what, they make off of the merch, and they don't have to give back to Warner's or JK, and plow that back into the park. That's, I think, where it's really, really going to get interesting, is that, so see whether or not the frenzy, because obviously, the Potter fans that are returning are going to hit Diagon Alley first, because they've done Wizarding World. And they will be expanding out. What's kind of interesting about what they're planning on doing to Wizarding World is one of the very first things after they get the Hogwarts Express out of theirs, and then move it down to the bottom of the hill, to sort of establish the train station down there. Figuring out how to drive more people into Dragon Challenge, which really is doing a third of the business that it used to do back when it was Dueling Dragons. And is honestly that what's causing that is because of just that tiny little door with the sort of the name, written in stone over the top. It offers really no hint that there's a thrill ride behind that. And so many people are just walk into the Wizarding World and are mesmerized and see Hogwarts Castle and go there first. And what Universal's own survey work suggests is that, on days when people are standing in line for 2 hours to do a Wizarding World, they will then come out of the ride, do a little bit of shopping, but then they feel like, I really need to go out and see the other stuff in the park, and they'll pass on Flight of the Hippogriff and Dragon Challenge, and they'd really like them to ride those. So they're going to be working on signage, they're going to be working on capacity for those sort of supporting attractions. But somebody has to pay for that, and that they're hoping will be paid for by this continuing strong retail sales, coupled with the fact that we're going to expand the retail out. In fact, if the rumors are true, you're going to get about 200 more feet shops and restaurants. I mean, they're going to bump out the border of Hogsmeade's village, and then just beyond that will be your Whomping Willow Spinner, and then you just go down the hill to where the Hogwarts Express is going to be located.
So then they're considering keeping Dragon Challenge, because I know the rumour was around that now it's not dueling. It was sort of on the chopping block, as it were.
You get some weird comments from Potter fans. They've actually got a thing they keep at guest relations ads. What it breaks down to is one of the key complaints is that the dragons that are on top of the roller coaster are the wrong colors. Because a Hungarian horntail is not blue. It's sort of like, really? You're gonna give us crap about that? All right, fine. I'm writing it in the book. Then I'll hand it off to the guys at Creative. And when they redo, when they do the expansion of Hogsmeade's Village, don't be surprised if a bigger, more dramatic entrance that draws the eye and draws more guests is created for Dragon Challenge. And also, don't be surprised if the paint job, or in fact, look for the plastic pieces that are up there that give it sort of the dragon feel to be changed out to the the individual for dragons from the actual movie. But at the same time, just be aware that is a lot of real estate, and and they know that, and now that they don't duel because of the whole iPhone flying and hitting somebody in the face, there are discussions. But again, this is Universal. This is a park that prides itself on having wonderful thrill rides, and you can't rip out one of the wonderful thrill rides and keep that reputation. So, for at least for now, that's off the table. The Dragon Challenge will stay in operation. You're going to see a better entrance and perhaps better theming that makes the Potter fans happy. So.
Cool. I mean, I love dueling dragons. I mean, a lot of people complained when they ripped the dragons out from the front of it in the first place. They said they could have quite easily just left them and repainted them.
Yeah, and what Jim was talking about, like as you're walking towards there, you see the entrance to the main area, the Harry Potter area, the Wizarding World, and you're passing right by it on the right hand side. It's just literally like a little hole in the wall that you're passing on the way there, and it just totally the Wizarding World just captures your eye completely and just draws you right in and it draws you right past that, like you got a rope attached to you or something.
Right.
I mean, it's such a shame because you look at what it was before it became Dragon Challenge. It was possibly one of the best, or the queue was one of the best themed queues in the park.
Yeah, we used to love it, didn't we?
And it's such a shame of what's happened. But it can't be helped.
No. Progress.
As they say, yes.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for this segment of Ask Jim Hill. We'd like to thank Jim for joining us and giving us some fantastic answers. And we'd also like to thank everyone who submitted questions in.
Yep, thanks a lot, Jim. It's been brilliant as always.
Yeah.
But so don't forget, if you've got any more questions for Jim, I'm sure we'll maybe cobble together to another one. You can email them to us at unofficialuniversal@yahoo.co.uk, which hopefully should be changing soon, that email address, but we'll see where we go.
Yes. So, yep, that's going to finish it for this first Ask Jim Hill session. So, thank you very, very much, Jim. As usual, we've had an absolute blast. And we'll see you next time.
That will bring us to the end of episode 24.
Thanks for joining us as always, and we hope you enjoyed what will hopefully be only the first Ask Jim Hill segment.
Yes, thanks again to Jim for agreeing to answer your questions. We apologise to Skype once again as well. What a shock.
I have an amendment to make from the last show. Mac on Twitter messaged me, if my phone would actually work, and said that we said that the new SpongeBob Nickelodeon store would be going
Oh, this is what I forgot to mention.
in the ET show, and it's not. It's
No.
going in the old cartoon store, isn't it?
It is. It's opening. That store is completely shut down.
Yes.
Who said fire?
That was the whole cartoon store that we were like, no, we've never walked in.
Yes.
And as soon as I showed up, I was like, oh, That's what that store was. But now there's complete full walls behind it. I actually stopped and asked a cast member, and he said, yes, that would be where the store was going.
He's on
most
Disney time
likely.
already, isn't he? The team members hunter.
Huh?
The team members, not cast members, just because you're a turncoat.
Did I get called? Did I say cast members?
You did.
Defy all the infidels. Go for it.
So that's the end until our next show, which will be out on the 2nd of March. So good night, Internet.
And ta-ta from me.
And hopefully I didn't shatter your eardrums this week.
And it's bye from me as well. And remember, live the adventure.
Cut. Print. That's a wrap for another episode of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review while you're there. Not an Apple user? You can listen on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or your podcatcher of choice. Email us any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. Keep up with the latest news, rumors, and updates on our blog at uuopodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week.